For now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending Ooma and their all-in-one phone, video, and collaboration solution.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
You don't sit behind a desk every day to earn a living. You're out and about making it happen. And sometimes you get a little bit behind on your paperwork, like bookkeeping and paying your taxes. It's easy to get behind on paying your taxes. It happens to the best of us. And you know what happens next. The big bad IRS comes knocking on your door. And when that happens, you need to call the good old boys at the Tax Doctor. Let them do what they do best. Deal and negotiate with the IRS so you pay the lowest you can in back taxes that the law allows. We are a 100% U.S.-based company, and we've saved our clients millions over the years in back taxes. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call my friends right now at the Tax Doctor and learn more.
800-340-1040. 800-340-1040. 800-340-1040. Again, that's 800-340-1040. Paid for by the Tax Doctor.
Broadcasting live from the Strike and Spare studios, it's time for the Power Hour with Sami Kincaid, highlighting and focusing on women in sports around the country, from the pros to the amateurs, from high schools to colleges. Call the Power Hour now on the Cure Brand Hotline, 615-844-5600, 615-844-5600. Now here's your host for the Power Hour, Sami Kincaid.
Welcome into Power Hour with Sami Kincaid. I'm Sami Kincaid in the Strike and Spare studio. Got Ray Dosky with me. How you doing over there, Ray?
I'm here, girl. I'm here, girl.
You are here. You're fired up and ready. You already have one show done this morning. You're cooking on all cylinders right now.
Oh, I'm definitely on that right now. I don't know what it is. I guess the Mountain Dew's kicked in, but yeah, I am on all cylinders. Was here late last night doing the 11th. What was it? The game of the week. Great game. Called by Joe Fisher and Greg Poe between Friendship versus DCA.
That was a good game.
We were able to catch a little glimpse of your game over Brentwood taking on Prep Pope, and that was a lot of fun. And then we got done at 11:30, came right around, did, Prep Football Talk this morning, and here we are.
Here we are. Yeah, y'all's game was a whole lot better. Didn't it go into overtime?
Watching that game, listening into that game, it just seemed like it was 7-7, and then as both teams were driving in the second half, it was like, oh, it's picked off. Oh, it was a fumble. It's just like no one wanted to win the game. I'm like, what is it? I'm like, we're going into overtime. And, of course, it goes into overtime. Well, when I'm producing the show, back-to-back weeks when Devlin's not there, both games have gone to overtime.
So you're like, Devlin,
I need to stop producing.
back.
Yeah, I definitely need to stop producing. But, yeah, it was a lot of game. It was craziness. It was much like a playoff atmosphere that you'd want. Because when you look at these two teams played each other earlier in the year, and it was all favorable. I think they won like 48-6. It was heavily favorable.
Yeah.
Friendship, not favorable. Friendship, sorry. I can't even talk today. And then this game coming up, I thought Friendship actually had the chance. But I've been told that when DCA gets into tournament play, it's like they turn up a notch. Like they always make these little crazy runs. And I thought last night they were going to do that again. I thought it was going to be an upset last night, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I went to DCA from preschool through 8th grade, and then that's whenever I transferred to then JB2, now Pope Prep. But it was even like that back then with DCA. I remember going to state, I feel like it was every single year almost. It was a lot of fun with DCA and the football team and the success that program has had. Not so much over at Pope Prep. That was something that I talked to the guys with last night. Is it seems like they always get to that second round and just have a hard time finishing. And it's like I told Zach and Bruno last night. It's hard to win when you're battling so many injuries. And Pope thinking that they were coming into the game, getting Elijah Robb back, and they had a couple guys coming off of ankle sprains, and then that was going to be Minchie's second week back after coming off of, he threw, 4 touchdowns the week before. You think that he's back, but his arm's still bothering him. His shoulder's still bothering him.
Oh, it was evident last night.
Yeah, very evident. He only played a few drives, and they ended up having to call plays around that for those few drives, hand off the ball, because you could just tell. And I don't know if it was real cold at that game last night. So I don't know if it was because of how cold it was. His arm just didn't warm up the way that he expected it to.
Right.
But you can't. It's real tough to win games, especially whenever they're playing hot at the perfect time.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever they're playing like that, and you have guys also like Jamar Jones going down in the first half, that was the one player that Coach Sneed for Pope Prep said that he has to have a good game defensively if we're going to stay in this game.
And
so
losing him kind of hit, yeah.
So that was another big loss for Pope last night.
It was crazy to watch. I mean, it seemed like the temperatures really dropped, like considerably, like quick last night. And in addition to that, the wind started to pick up. As we were doing the game here live on WNSR between Friendship and DCA, those guys were like, it felt like, I think the start of the game was like 55 degrees, and it just kept getting colder and colder and colder. The wind started picking up. And I think that might have had an issue in terms of when people were trying to like kick field goals or, trying to throw the ball. It just seemed like the ball would just kind of hang in the air a little bit,
Yeah.
And it seemed like that's what kind of threw a lot of momentum off for a lot of these teams who are like a throwing first type offense. And you saw what Brentwood did last night against Pratt Pope. The first 2 touchdowns were running touchdowns, big run touchdowns. And it just seemed like this is going to be just a long night for Pratt Pope.
Yeah, Pope Prep.
Oh, Pope Prep, sorry. I'm getting used to it. Look, I'm new to Nashville, like when it comes to high school football.
Well,
Look,
that's also new. It used to be JP2.
JP2, yeah, that's what I know him from.
Last year was the first year of the middle school, and that's whenever they rebranded everything. So it used to.
So this is the first year they've done that.
Technically, like second year, but it's only been one full year with Pope Prep. So it's still hard for me to say it too. Every now and then I'm.
But you can still call it JP2, right? I mean,
they're trying to get the alumni away from saying.
They're trying to get away from that. Okay, all right.
Yeah, so they're trying to really hit home on that Pope Prep.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. How's everything else?
It's been a week.
It's been a week for you,
been
huh?
a week.
Yeah, I
It's
could
been
see
a
it in your
week.
face, honey. Mama's had a week, huh?
If you're watching the live stream, you can see it in my face. Last night, I was told I looked a little tired.
Yeah.
The little one. But we're going to talk about it later on in the show. This is prime women in sports.
Yep.
And I mean, you get it too, though, as a dad.
Yeah.
But as a single mom and the only one that she has, whenever she's sick, it's
all hands
tough.
on deck.
It's all hands on deck.
Yeah.
And first week of crossover season, this week hit me
Of
real
course,
hard.
of course. It's just like
This week hit me real hard. So we're here though. We're surviving, and we'll get into that in a little bit.
Sure.
But let's talk about some of these games today. I'm not real thrilled about this lineup today.
No,
And I guess it's because Tennessee's got Mizzou, and Mizzou just shouldn't be in the SEC.
you don't think so?
No.
They pushed a couple of these SEC teams to the brink over the last few weeks. I mean, they did it to Georgia.
I get that they can hang around in games, and they can
possibly put a scare out there. Who knows? But yeah,
exactly. I just, whenever you look at the SEC and the teams that are in it, you hear Missouri, and that's not one of the true. It's Missouri.
Missouri.
It's not. The name just doesn't have the weight as all the other teams. Doesn't have the history, the tradition of all the other teams in the SEC. I can't with it.
Let's rewind a little bit. So let's talk about the Tennessee-Georgia game from last week.
Oh, no.
We talked about that a little bit last week, and one of the things I did mention was the fact that I don't know if that game was going to meet the hype, and it certainly didn't.
Right.
Like, it just scared me because I'm thinking, like, one, Vegas knows something because the spread keeps going up, and they're hoping that everyone's going to just literally lay the money on the Volunteers, and not only did Georgia win, but they also covered the spread, and they did everything they needed to do in terms of stopping Hooker, which is what was the big thing. I think he had like 21 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, barely get a sack. I think he had 7 sacks last week against that Alabama team, that Volunteers team. I don't know. I'm all over the place because I got so many. There's so many things I can't wait to get into. The Alabama game today, they got Ole Miss. Like, I can't wait to get into that. But in terms of what they did last week, it's just like I was kind of shocked. But they've got Missouri today. Then they get Vandy. I mean, they can run the table because right now they're 5th in rankings. And you see with these 1 and 2, arguably, okay.
Right.
Georgia, Ohio State, got it. 3, 4, possibly. It's a coin flip, right? You've got.
See, I have an issue because we talked about this last week. Georgia was technically, if you look, I mean, yes, the playoff rankings, it was Tennessee 1, Georgia 3. But if you look at the AP rankings, Georgia was 1 and Tennessee was 2.
Mm-hmm.
As it should have been because the defending champs had not lost yet. They should not be moved from that number 1 seed until they lose.
Mm-hmm.
At least I think. Although Tennessee's resume with 5 top 10 wins this season, how do you take them out of the playoff talk? How?
And put Oregon in that. Because Oregon's beat BYU. They still have 2 tough games coming up. Against Washington, I think they got them today, number 25 Washington. And then a week after that, they got number 12 Utah.
Right.
And Utah has been a disappointment because, remember, they came with a lot of hype at the beginning of the season. Everyone's like, oh, Utah. I mean, they boast one of the best rushing attacks last year, one of the better defenses last year. Coming in there, it's like, oh, balance both sides. They're going to be a menace. And I think they were like a top 5 ranked team coming into this season, and they just very inconsistent. Very inconsistent. I think they're 9-2, but still, they're ranked 12th. They're still there, or 13th, I believe. I think that's the ranking is. And if Oregon is able to ride that wave, able to get these wins, and Tennessee does not, and everyone's talking about that Oregon is going to overlap Tennessee, I'm like, I don't see that. And I was having this discussion yesterday with Justin on the McFarland show about like, oh, so you don't know because of the pack, whatever. We don't know what's going on in that because every team from the SEC needs to go there. I'm like, look, the SEC has better teams that are higher ranked than the pack. Let's be real here.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at the resume.
Right. And that's what makes me worried, though, is Tennessee being moved to that number 5 spot. They're not taking Tennessee's resume into account by putting TCU ahead of them.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan, yes, number 3, but I'm curious to see how all of that plays out once. Because, I mean, Michigan
they got
and
Ohio State.
Exactly. I'm curious to see where they end up at because it's taken them a while to get into that.
Let's say Michigan beats Ohio State. Do they still stay in the playoff race?
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because Ohio State probably doesn't have as good of a resume as a volunteer team.
Right.
You know, if they lose to Michigan, you would think that would knock you out of the playoffs.
But they love Ohio State and Alabama. I mean, granted, now
and
Alabama.
We get it too, and we get that. Like, it makes sense why they do. I mean, yeah, Ohio State being in the champion talks, if you will, in terms of that playoff format, is good for college football. We get it.
Right.
But when you look at terms of like the schematics, you like TCU. Yeah, they had to put TCU in 4. Okay. Clemson's a dumpster fire. Alabama is now out, which is wild. They're about to avoid their first 3-game losing streak since 2007.
They have not lost back-to-back games in the regular season since Saban has been there.
Yeah, which is wild. And then you look at this, and he's playing his old buddy Lane Kiffin today. And I love Lane Kiffin because he's not scaring anyone, and I think that Alabama's worried against this Lane Kiffin team. You're going against, what is Ole Miss, 11th right now? You know, and then we're not talking about LSU. LSU's moved up. Now they're 7th in the country.
Right.
You know, and they've got a big game today, but I mean, they could run the table. Who knows where they could be?
Right.
They could literally win the West.
And that's what makes me. Everyone says, "Oh, if Tennessee wins out, surely they'll be in the top 4."
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a surely.
No.
It makes me real worried because those 5 wins that they have over the top 10 teams is not being taken into account right now
At all.
At all.
Yeah.
And I don't think they should have dropped to 5 whenever you're playing the defending champ beats you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it was a terrible loss. I mean, it was a bad loss to them, don't get me wrong, but it's not like they lost to the number 10 team. They lost to the number 1 defending champs.
Not only did they lost to them, but if this is an Alabama team, I guarantee they're still in the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely.
Even though they got that 1 loss, they're still in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
But this is the Volunteers.
That's what's frustrating.
That's very frustrating. Right now, the Volunteers, they get 1 loss. Oh, the Hoks, you got to get, you're done. We're knocking you out. Why? Well, because this team is undefeated. Yeah, well, the Tennessee Volunteers beat 5 top 10 teams this year.
Right.
Where are we on that? What's TCU do? They beat Tarleton.
Which
Tarleton.
I will say, yes, exactly.
Tarleton's
exactly right. But I will say, coming from UCF, when a team does go undefeated, that's tough to do. And I think
for sure.
I think that deserves some recognition. But that's also why I'm glad the playoffs are expanding, because whenever you have the playoff race, what it's looking like right now, a team that's beating Tarleton should not be one of those teams.
Yeah. I'm not discrediting what TCU has done this year, but yes, it is very hard to go undefeated, and that should be recognized. They've had a hell of a season, but I am going and I think you and I are on the same wavelength about look at the resume, look at the body of work that's been done here for this Volunteers team, and you see what happens. Michigan has some good victories, but if Michigan beats Ohio State, I think that makes things a little tricky. I think people are automatically assuming, because we all know there's not much of a rivalry between that Michigan-Ohio State, because it's been lopsided over the last few years. It's been all Ohio State.
Right.
And I think Michigan has, won once. But outside of that, many are expecting Ohio State to beat Michigan because they feel like and I believe them as well, that they boast the better team. But let's say Michigan pulls an upset. What happens then? That means, now you're going to move Michigan State up to maybe number 2. Georgia, if they continue to ride out their wave, they're going to finish out number 1 overall going into the playoffs. Will the committee knock out Ohio State? I don't think so. And then you're looking at now, instead of having 2 spots open, because many will assume that Michigan is going to will lose to Ohio State, then you're thinking 2 spots are open. Now it's just going to be 1.
Right.
Which is wild.
That is absolutely wild. But I do know we're up against a break right now, so
Yeah, we'll go right to it.
go right to it.
$50 free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's free bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Sign up with the promo code GregP. FanDuel has all your favorite bets, from the money line to point spreads to player props. You can combine all of those across a variety of platforms with same-game parlays for a bigger payout. Live betting, you see a trend, something that's going on in a game, you can get updated odds on games that have already started and get you paid your winnings fast. All that on the app that's saved by using the promo code GregP. All that on the app. Don't fumble your chance to get $150 in free bets, win or lose. Promo code GregP. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. You got to be 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager. Only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued. Non-withdrawable. Free bets that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text TIP to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text TIP to 321-321. That's TIP to 321-321.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
From the big game to the big dance, Bar Lines at the Omni Nashville Hotel downtown is your game day and watch party headquarters. Don't worry about entertaining guests and trying to feed everyone. Sit back, relax, cheer on your team, and let the Bar Line staff take care of you. Grab a Bar Line signature cocktail and enjoy some wicked deviled eggs, or a Bar Line's double stack, and finish it off with some Jack and Coke chocolate cake. Bust your belly and your bracket at Bar Line, located in the Omni Nashville Hotel, 5th Avenue, downtown.
Whoa, are you kidding me?
There's plenty of game left. Just chill out. If you're too riled up, you won't ever get to sleep tonight.
How can I chill out when I have to put up with this every single week?
Oh, and he gets picked off. Interception.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Okay, that's enough. Here, try these cannabis products from Lab Canna. And these heightened Delta 8 gummies and Karma Calming Caramels will help put you in a better state of mind.
Whether you win or lose, make every game day better with cannabis products from Lab Canna. Learn more today at labcanna.com.
It's the afternoon stretch with Zach Williams and Bruno Reagan.
You know what the Mets stand for?
Metropolitan.
Yeah, that one.
Metropolitan is a flavor of ice cream, right?
Neapolitan.
Oh,
okay. Was that real?
I mean, half and half.
Oh, man. You talk about throwing me off complete. My equator is gone.
The afternoon stretch. Afternoon stretch with Zach Williams and Bruno Reagan.
Now, This Girl Can, featuring your local female athlete of the week.
Welcome back into the Strike and Spare studio. You're listening to Power Hour with Sami Kincaid. I'm Sami Kincaid, and I am very excited for this week's This Girl Can. We have someone from my alma mater. First person from my alma mater on with us today. We have Abby Clark. Abby, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Good. So first off, why don't you tell the listeners just a little bit about yourself, who you are, what grade you're in, and I already mentioned it, you go to Pope Prep.
Yes. All right. So, hi, my name's Abby. I am a senior enrolled at Pope John Paul II Preparatory School now. I am a cheerleader at Pope, and I've been cheering all 4 years. I've cheered for about 9 years total, and I've cheered for my high school team, and I've cheered for an all-star program, Turbo Athletics. And I'm a back spot, and I've been doing this for about 5 years.
Awesome. And that's not just, your sport is not everything you are. So we'll get a little bit more into just what do you like to do if you're not cheering, whenever you're not being a student, what does Abby Clark like to do?
I enjoy hanging out with my friends, especially on the weekends. I love going to the lake. That is probably my favorite thing. I'm kind of sad because summer is ending, so we won't get to go on the lake as much. And I love hanging out with my dogs. I have 5 right now, and I just recently got a new puppy. So
5 dogs?
Love to stay home and hang out. Yes.
Is that 5 plus the puppy, so 6? Or 5 with the puppy?
5 with the puppy.
What kind of dogs are they?
It's a teacup King Charles Cavalier.
Oh, my heavens. Abby, we were just talking about dogs and puppies in the studio, so you got some smiling people in here. I'm pretty jealous. So, anyways, let's get back to what you do at Pope Prep. You said you've been cheering there all 4 years. You've cheered also competitively and at Cheerville, and that rings a little close to home for me since I did both of those. What have you really learned from cheering in high school and also competitively?
I would say I've learned a lot about time management and responsibility. With cheering with multiple teams at the same time, there's a lot of responsibility and practice. So constantly always having practice, home doing homework. I've learned to get as much work at school done as I can, and I've learned that with the coaches, like somewhat treating you like as an adult from such a young age, you are always being held accountable, and that you will make mistakes and you will forget things and have good days, but you are at the end of the day responsible for yourself. And I've learned a lot about accountability and maturing at a really young age.
You do learn a lot about time management, especially whenever you're cheering on 2 teams or even just one team. But cheering competitively does take up a lot of time. So what have you done to really help? I know you're not cheering competitively this year, but what have you really done to help manage that time and really get the most out of your senior year and being able to be the best student that you can be, as well as give the most to your team, your high school team. And I know you also do a lot in the community.
Yes. So one thing I would say that has really helped me with time managing with like the homework load, as it is a prep school, I really try my best to like always stay like on task and like or during class. And our school offers like tutorial times and like we have extra like I have study halls, and I really try to stay on task during school and get as much schoolwork done during the day. So then I can have my teams can have my full undivided attention, and I'm not stressed out. And this school year, with my senior year, I really wanted to not have to worry about always being like needing to be in class and always having to do homework. So this year I'm allowing myself to have a little bit more free time. So on the weekends I actually can maybe like stay at home or go out, and maybe I can work on my homework during the weekends. But overall, I've learned a lot about doing homework efficiently, time, and doing it correct. So it's been quite the journey with a lot of it, but at the end of the day, it was all worth it.
Absolutely. And with that, you're talking about some of the fun stuff you get to do, and I think it's fun as well whenever you get to really give back to the community. So when have you found time to do that? Because we've not even talked about, you do some really incredible things for the community, and also with writing letters for nursing homes, preparing sandwiches for shelters. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do just to give back to the community?
Yes. So like you included, I am involved in the community service club at my school, which initially I was like kind of hesitant towards it, but I really needed to get service hours, and I really needed like an organized program to get them through. So I was like, I might as well join this because it's not going to hurt. And I actually realized I really enjoy it a lot. It's a different kind of crowd that I normally don't hang out with, and I've met a lot of fun and like different people than me besides cheerleaders. And with that, it's just like a little bit after school, like on the days that I don't have practice right after, and I just hang out with the people. We some days will make sandwiches, so we all just bring in like different items, or for the letters, I did them all at home, but we'll bring in items and we'll make sandwiches, we'll package them, we'll make meals, we'll package them, and I unfortunately don't get to drop them off because I have practices on the days that we do that. But for the letters, I recently have been just working on them on the weekends, and just like I like it because it gives somebody who might not have somebody able to meet them and talk to them all the time in nursing homes, or if they don't have any close family members, it just reminds them that people care about them and that they're loved. And it actually makes my heart like feel really good, and I love doing it because giving back is something that not many people realize is actually a really good thing to do, and it actually is like it's a good opportunity. And I'm also in my school's ministry class, which helps with this, but it's a different program too.
Yeah, I was about to ask about that ministry class, but before we go on to that, it is really rewarding and something that I think a lot of people don't know about Pope Prep. At least whenever I was going to school there, you are required to do at least 40 hours of community service a year. I don't know if it's that same still to this day, but they do really emphasize doing a lot of community service, and that's one thing that I really admire about Pope Prep. But you did bring up the ministry class at your school. What is that ministry class, and what have you really gained from being a part of that?
So yes, it's actually my first year, as seniors only get to do it. And I remember my freshman year, I was like, oh my gosh, I totally have to take that class. So we lead like all the faith and service retreats for all the other grades. And basically we organize, we talk, we do TED Talks at them for grades 6 through 12, actually. It's crazy to say, middle school now. This year we're changing it up a little bit. We're combining both the faith and the service retreats, which normally faith retreats are just at Our Lady of the Lake, and then service retreats we lead and help small groups go out in the community and do service. But this year we're combining them together, and we're going to do faith in the morning and then go out and do small groups. So we just provide like a helpful guidance for other peers and younger kids with their faith and their service opportunities in our school.
Absolutely. And again, you're listening into Power Hour with Sami Kincaid in the Strike and Spare studio. And I have with me right now senior from Pope Prep, Abby Clark. And she cheers at Pope Prep and really involved in the community and in her ministry class at her school. And Abby, I just said it, you're a senior. You got some big moves happening here coming up soon. Do you know where you're going to go to college yet?
I have two really big ideas, and hopes either Florida State, which I am actually
I'm just
Florida.
kidding.
I grew up in Florida for about 10, 11 years of my life, or Penn State, which is the complete opposite. So everyone's like, what are you talking about? But I think they're both really interesting to me, and I'm really excited to see if I get into either of them.
That is very interesting. That is, it seems, on two ends of the spectrum right there. So what is it that draws you to those two?
So Florida, a lot of my hometown OG friends and my best friends from when I've grown up go there. So I've always kind of wanted to go there since a young age. And then I started realizing actually how hard it is to get into out of state. So I was like, I need a backup. And since I've lived in the South and warm weather, I was like, okay, if I don't get in, I'm just going to go the complete other direction and go up in the north because I've never really experienced that. And Penn State, they have an exciting cheer program that kind of intrigues me, so I don't know about that, but we'll see. I just wanted to, if I don't get into Florida, I was like, I might as well just change it up and try the north.
I love that. And you mentioned the program that kind of intrigues you, but what is it that you're really, I know that a lot can change, especially even whenever you get to college, of the career path you want to pursue. But what is it right now that you're looking to major in?
Pre-law, or like you said, two completely different things, pre-law or psychology.
Okay. I mean, you can do both of those in the same, technically. Maybe you'll be the next lawyer that's handling a lot of psych cases.
Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic, and I wish you all of the best, Abby, and I appreciate you joining me today. But for people to follow along on your journey, where can people find you on social media?
On Instagram, probably most likely that's the best place. And my username is just Abby Clark, ABBICLARK.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Well, again, thank you so much for joining me. This has been with Abby Clark, a senior at Pope Prep. And Abby, I wish you and all the other Knights at my alma mater the best of luck as y'all finish out your senior year. And again, you're listening in to Power Hour with Sami Kincaid in the Strike and Spare studio. We'll be right back after this break.
Per hour.
Are you tired of your current vehicle? Maybe looking for a new or pre-owned vehicle? Hey guys, it's Zach. Hayes Nissan of Rivergate is the best choice for your vehicle needs. Located at 1550 Galton Pike North in Madison, Hayes Nissan of Rivergate has been serving the Middle Tennessee community for over 3 decades. That gives you confidence that Hayes Nissan of Rivergate can find the perfect vehicle for your lifestyle and your budget. Their friendly and knowledgeable staff will make sure you are taken care of. I should know because I've seen it firsthand. Every vehicle I've purchased has been from Hayes Nissan of Rivergate, and I love the entire process. Now, I don't want you to forget about their award-winning parts and service department. It has everything you need to get you back on the road. Go visit them on the web at nissanofrivergate.com. They're open there 24/7, 365 days a year. Or give them a call at 615-865-7220. Again, that number is 615-865-7220. That's Hayes Nissan of Rivergate, where your dollar always goes farther.
Douglas is a real Prevagen user and paid testimonialist.
My name is Douglas. I'm 79 and I live in Chicago. I'm a writer, director. I used to be a marathon runner. Now I'm a walker. In the kind of work that I do, you are surrounded by people who are all younger than you. Memory became a factor. As everyone gets older, where did I put my keys? But I had to get help to stay competitive. I happened across Prevagen, and I started taking it. I saw myself having an improved memory, which at the same time, I felt better about myself. I could not be doing what I'm doing today had it not been for Prevagen.
Prevagen, healthier brain, better life. Prevagen is available in stores everywhere. Based on a clinical study of subgroups of individuals who are cognitively normal or mildly impaired, this product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Lieutenant, can you tell us what happened today?
Our officers responded to a crash on I-40 westbound this morning. The driver of a pickup truck lost control of the vehicle, veered left, and went into a ditch.
911, what's your emergency?
We've been in a crash. Please send someone. My fiance is hurt.
A front seat passenger was wearing a seatbelt. She survived without injury. The driver was not wearing a seatbelt and was ejected from the truck. He died at the scene.
Law enforcement writes tickets to save lives. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office.
If you need a staycation or planning a trip to Music City, stay at Bento Living Chestnut Hill. Voted the best boutique hotel in the city by the Nashville Scene. Bento Living is located on the edge of bustling downtown and boasts on-site dining, shopping, live entertainment on the rooftop, and free fitness classes. Come experience Nashville like a local. Visit BentoChestnutHill.com to book your Music City vacation today.
It's a Bill King Show.
Lake Norman Buckeye. Bill, will Saban actually coach that 24 quarterback? At some point, he's got to hang it up. Nothing lasts forever. I want to repeat, Nick Saban is doing his favorite thing right now. He's not trying to get to a moment in life to where he can go sit on the beach.
Weekday mornings beginning at 6 on Sports Radio 560 on 95.9 FM.
And now it's time to shine the spotlight on this week's coach or player. From college to the pros, this is Shattered Ceilings.
Welcome back into Power Hour with Sami Kincaid. I'm Sami Kincaid in the Strike and Spare studio with Ray Dosky. And Ray, I know it says we're going to have Shattered Ceilings and we're going to shine the light, but you know what? We don't have anyone with us today. We're shining the light on us as working parents in the industry.
Oh, yeah. It's tough.
It is.
I think it's even, I know it's tougher for you than it is for me, being a single mom, having a newborn. How's that princess? 3-4 months old now?
No, time has flown by. She will be 7 months next week.
She's 7 months?
Next week. So time is flying by, but it does feel like it's only been 3 or 4 months. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people, I have said before, I feel like I owe an apology to everyone I know that is a parent, but especially a parent that is working in sports, because I just had no idea. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, whatever. Like,
extremely tough to balance all that.
It is very hard. And then also, I had a very traumatic birth. And so we're not going to get into that on air, but just the recovery. And I mean, she was 2.5 months whenever I started doing this show. And so just how quickly you had to put that behind and try to figure out that balance of working and trying to recover from that, and also figuring out being a new mom. It was tough, and it makes you look at people like Sam Ponder is one that comes to mind. And I remember her posting whenever she was still doing game day, and her daughter would travel to the game every single week. Or you look at Laura Rutledge with her daughter Reese, and Reese is heavily involved. They have a segment with Reese every single week where Reese picks, but really it makes me thankful that there are people in the industry that get it, because you're called to go so many different directions all the time, and you're constantly having to be on. And it's so tough whenever you're having to be on all the time, whenever in your personal life you're like, holy cow, I need like a 30-minute nap, you know? And so it just makes everything else even more draining. And I mean, I'm very grateful to get to do what I'm passionate about and be a mom, and that's what I've always wanted to be as a mom. But this week has kicked my butt with having Vandy men's basketball. Did graphics on Monday for that game, and then called the game on SEC Network Plus with Andrew Allegretta on Thursday night, and then high school football Friday, and then thankfully there's no
I'm surprised you're here today.
Thankfully there's no Vandy football game today after the show. But it was, and then with the full-time job, that's Monday through Friday on top of that. So it was just a lot with a sick baby. Thankfully she's okay. We had to go to the doctor on Thursday.
Oh, wow.
But she did not sleep at all. Thursday night. She slept for maybe an hour and a half, and then just was screaming. She has a stomach bug, and while a stomach bug in adults lasts 24 to 48 hours, whenever they're that little, that it's a couple weeks. So just I'm glad that she's on the mend now. But you don't realize whenever you're not a parent. I really do owe everyone in the sports industry that is a parent an apology, because I just had no idea.
Right.
You don't know what you don't know, and it's a lot to juggle.
It's all about phases, right? Like for me, I got into this industry a little late. I've only been in the industry for a little under 3 years. And when I moved to Nashville, many reasons, because of, my wife is a native of Nashville, and that's what brought me down here. I was trying to get myself acclimated into whatever space. I was a computer science major, what have you, but I always, much like yourself, had a passion in sports. First 3 years was great, marriage, and then all of a sudden, firstborn comes in. A few years later, we wanted to wait, and then my daughter came, which was a little sooner than we thought. And love them both miracles, enjoyable. And then fast forward, I'm like, okay, now that the kids are a little older, maybe it's, I could possibly transition into my passion. Because I feel like, all the stuff is behind us. Now the kids are like 10, 7 years old. They've gone through like the stomach bugs, the fevers, whatever, what the infants deal with. And then I get here with National Sports Radio, and it's like, it's a different set of problems now. Because now it's like engagement. It's like their extracurricular activities, whether it be basketball, piano, whatever.
Yeah.
And I have to be present for that. If I'm not that, I'm like, it's worse, because you can kind of get away with stuff when it comes to the babies when they don't really know, as opposed to when it's like a 10 or 8-year-old or like, Dad, you weren't there. So right. it's like it hits harder. And then as they progress and get older, then there's gonna be more commitments that you have to be a part of, right? So it's all in phases. The good thing is that it all passes, right? You're here, she's on the up. Good day. There's no Vandy game, so you can go home, relax with the little princess, hang out, watch some college football.
But it makes me wonder how, like I mentioned Sam Ponder, for example. I mean, when she was doing game day, that was how many years ago? I mean, granted, not that long ago, but it was still, what, 5, 6
very
years
fresh.
ago?
Yeah, fresh.
5, 6 years ago. And just how much has changed with women in sports in just that amount of time. I feel very grateful for people like her who, whenever she was taking her daughter on the road, that was unheard of. And I remember she made a post, and it was specifically thanking her producer and her teammates on game day for how supportive they were of her bringing her daughter along. And I'm grateful for people like her and people that were before, because I mean, women in sports, you're still definitely one of the few. Yeah. It's still very male dominated. And so I'm grateful that people like her have had those opportunities to make even this show possible. And people, I'm trying to think of the right words, but I feel like if it was not for people like her and people before her, I wouldn't have the opportunity to be a new mom and try to balance things the way that I have. Because, I mean, for example, on Thursday, whenever I got there early for the game to call, but Andrew, his son is only about a year older than my daughter. Okay. And his wife is out of town, and so he came in a little bit late, and the whole crew was like, hey, you know what? That's totally fine. Yeah. And so just having that support now, I think it's just a lot more accepted. And
goes a long way.
It really does go a long way. And so really grateful. But you can hear it. We're up against a break again.
Yep.
So whenever we come back, we'll be talking some more college ball.
Absolutely.
Stick with us on Power Hour with Sami Kincaid in the Strike and Spare studio.
Now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Join today and get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed. When you place your first $5 bet, that's a free bet back. Your first bet doesn't win. Just sign up with the promo code WNSR. FanDuel has all your favorite bets, from the money line to point spreads to player props. You can combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with the same game parlay. With live betting, you'll get updated odds on games that have already started. Super easy to use. Don't fumble your chance to get $150 in free bets. Win or lose with the promo code WNSR. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. You must be 21 years of age or older and present here in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued and non-withdrawable. Free bets that expire in 14 days after receipt. Restrictions do apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789.
Are you in trouble with the IRS? Detaxify is the trusted tax relief solution that has an A+ rating with the BBB, 5-star rating from Google, and specializes in the IRS Fresh Start program.
If you have years of unfiled back tax returns or owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, the government has the power to garnish your wages, freeze your bank account, and in some cases, they can now revoke your passport. This is John Zandy, president of Detaxify. Detaxify specializes in the Fresh Start program, where we help struggling taxpayers get out of collections or settle their tax debt. If you're being audited or dealing with threatening letters from the government, you may need professional tax relief representation. My team at Detaxify can stop the tax collectors and stop the threatening letters from the IRS or state. Call me now for a free consultation.
Call now, 800-601-7780. That's 800-601-7780. Detaxify offers a 100% customer satisfaction guarantee. Call now, 800-601-7780. 800-601-7780.
With 13 locations nationally, including Smyrna, Star Leasing Company is a semi-trailer one-stop shop and the perfect place to build a career as a semi-trailer mechanic. Seeking candidates with all levels of experience, Star Leasing Company has a semi-trailer technician trainee program with sign-on and quarterly bonuses and other opportunities such as $1,000 for having a yearly physical. Package also includes 401k with company match, health, dental, and vision insurance, competitive pay with weekly paychecks, and paid holidays and time off. Star Leasing Company, not your typical semi-trailer leasing company. Visit starleasing.com to learn more.
Slim's Tender Mac Bowls are back. We start with a 3-cheese blend to make our delicious mac and top it with chopped hand-breaded tenders and Colby Jack cheese. Try the Tender Mac Bowl meal or the Buffalo Tender Mac Bowl meal, both served with Texas toast and a medium drink. But hurry, they're only around for a limited time. Download the Slim Chickens app to order and earn rewards.
Hey, it's Sami Kincaid, host of Power Hour with Sami Kincaid. Every Saturday morning from 9 to 10, listen in as I highlight women in sports from high school to the pros, athletes and administrators. And you know what? Let's talk some ball with women covering the game across the country. Power Hour with Sami Kincaid is every Saturday morning. Listen in on Nashville Sports Radio from 9 to 10 a.m.
We're checking out the headlines, the highlights, and the stories from the world of women's athletics. Time to go around the hour.
All right, Ray, let's go around the hour. Talk some college ball. You're listening in to Power Hour with Sami Kincaid in the Strike and Spare studio. Call in on the Cure Hotline, 615-844-5600, 615-844-5600. And let's start out. You said you were excited to talk about number 9 Alabama at number 11 Ole Miss, and let me tell you why I'm excited for this one. Because
you are? Yes. Yeah, let's go.
Well, I just love whenever coaches are coaching against the school that they used to be at. I think it's fun, just adds a little bit to the game. And I remember when I was working with SEC Nation, it was the national championship game in Phoenix, Arizona, and coming from Tennessee, I was not there whenever Lane was coaching. I came the fall after, but just I actually like Lane now. Back then I did not. So whenever I was working that, I actually saw Lane get left. He missed the team bus to leave after the national championship game.
Oh, really?
And you saw him running down the hallway trying to catch the bus, and they left him. And it was one of the greatest moments I've ever had in working a game ever. That was just a very special
Because you didn't like him then.
Right,
Yeah.
I didn't like him then.
Like, ha-ha,
you got left. So I loved it. I loved every second of it. Now I like him, and I would.
Why do you like him now? Why do you like him now?
I know some people on that Ole Miss staff.
Yeah.
Some of them came from UCF, and
Okay.
so just from being, I guess, a closer degree of separation from him, and hearing just how he is working, not me working with him, but how it is working with him.
Sure.
Gained a little bit more respect for him, and and also just his presence on Twitter, he cracks me up. I would hate to be in the communications department and have to be the football SID and having to help run his Twitter, because you're not running his Twitter. You do not have a handle on that. He goes off the rails, and I'm here for it. I think it's hilarious. I really enjoy it. So that was what has changed my mind about Lane.
Talk about a guy who's done a completely 180. I mean, let's take it back to the days when he was with the Volunteers.
Oh, yeah.
Where he just sayonara, whatever, went to go get his dream job over at USC, and then all that allegations, all the stuff that happened, and landed in Florida. What was it, Florida Atlantic? Is that where he was at?
FAU.
FAU, right? He landed there for a little bit, and just really, now he's on this trajectory, going up. He makes $8-9 million a year now. And you're looking now, there's been rumors about Auburn's probably going to chase this guy, bring him on, because let's be real here. He's not going to win a championship at Ole Miss. I don't see it happening. I think he has a better chance of winning a championship at Auburn, personally.
Oh yeah.
And I think there's going to be it's going to be interesting to see what happens after the season, if he makes a run. But I just like the fact that he's not afraid of anyone. He owns it now. He'll tell you he's gonna lie. He doesn't care.
Yeah.
But he's like I tell you the truth. Even I lie even when I tell the truth. You know what? One of those things. Whatever. Right.
Right.
But then when you see what he's doing, he's not scared of Nick Saban at all. And he's I'm just whatever. Did you see what he said about Jimbo Fisher last week when they played against Texas A&M?
I didn't.
He said that. He's we won against that team that has a top of a, top. What is it? 5-star players over there. Yeah, we still won. Yeah, it's crazy. He just, it's almost like he's insulting but dumbing it down, but
right,
he's really
he's
daggering you a little bit, And I was just because I don't know what's going on with Texas A&M. Well, they lost 5 straight now.
Yeah,
it's just crazy, and people are leaving. People are leaving that I think not only jumping ship, but they're decommitting. I'm just what is going on down at Texas A&M? But that's neither here or there. We could talk about that some other time. But with this Ole Miss going against Alabama, man, Alabama, not one of the better teams. I'm sure Nick Saban's frustrated. I think he expected to be a 2-loss, team this year. Like, I think that, stakes were high, especially with, Heisman candidate Bryce Young. I mean, you had Will Anderson. I mean, you have some talent there. It's just but.
And that was really my big note, is that with him having won the Heisman, show the kind of player that you've had already proven to be to win that, and get your team back on the rails. Get the train going back. Lane train. So
I see what you did there. I caught it.
Since we are playing Ole Miss this week. But get your team back on the rails. Get them going back in the right direction. Really show why you were the Heisman.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking about,
they're an 11.5 point favorite right now.
Alabama is,
yes.
It's hard to buy into that. I'm taking Ole Miss. I can't buy into that because I just don't believe in this Alabama team. I think that they'll win today, but I don't think they'll win by double digits.
Right.
I think because of the fact that I know Nick Saban doesn't want to lose 3 straight. Absolutely not. And against, he's always had success going against his former coordinators.
Yes.
So there's always that, but I just don't feel that. Just the way that Lane handles himself, carries himself, if you will, just not being intimidated. I think he's going to throw everything under the kitchen sink and at Nick Saban. I think we all know he wants to beat.
He wants to create some chaos today.
He wants to destroy Nick Saban today in the Alabama football team on the field today. I know for a fact that's what he wants to do. But I think Alabama wins. So I think they end the losing streak today, and I just don't see Nick Saban losing 3 straight. I just can't see it.
So another big game. Number 4. I hate saying it. Number 4 TCU at number 18 Texas. Texas is a 7-point favorite. Another reason why is TCU number 4 if they're going to be if Texas is going to be the favorite in this 7-point favorite?
When you look at this Texas team,
I hope that Texas beats them. Knock TCU out. Get them out of the playoffs.
You know why I love Texas? Bijan Robinson is probably the best running back I've seen in such a long time. I think that you're going to see 2 of the best running backs today play in that game between him and Kendra Miller from TCU. I don't believe that Texas has beaten a top 5 team at home in a very long time. I'm interested to see how TCU handles this. We just talked about their resume. Do they post a top 4 resume? No. Does Texas help? By beating Texas, does it help? Maybe, maybe not.
All right, before we go, one quick thing. I'm going to tell you to take the over on number 22 UCF.
Love it.
17 Tulane. Take the over. It's 54.5. So
all right.
That's my big betting advice.
Bank it? We're banking it?
Banking it.
All right.
All right. Thanks for listening to Power Hour with Sami Kincaid in the Strike and Spare studio. We'll see you again next week.